Ariana was like, hey, like, I have some music. I've been making my own music. Do you guys want to listen to it? Hello friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to part 2 of the epic saga that is my best and worst and most amazing and exciting and crazy experiences with celebrities. I say part 2 because this video turned out to be so long and so full of details and so much wildness and mostly just embarrassing stories about things that I've done in the past, let's be real, that I broke it into 2 parts. So if you haven't watched part 1, be sure to click the link in the info section because it is full of so many rich morsels. But guys, without further ado, I give you a bunch of weird stuff I've done. Quite frankly, some of this is very embarrassing, but I'm excited to share it, so enjoy. You guys remember the time that Lily and I somehow met all of the Kardashians in one day? And somehow she and I got invited to this event where it was like a season 10 anniversary taping to like celebrate all that they have done and accomplished. It was gonna air on E! And so from what we had heard, they were like, oh, we're gonna invite out a bunch of influencers and a bunch of fans to come and watch the taping. Cut to, we end up finding out like, yeah, you're not only gonna watch the taping, but you might be able to meet the Kardashians. So me and Lily were like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. We're so excited because at the time we were like in the thick of beauty break. Kylie Jenner was coming out with a new lip kit that we were like waiting in line for every single day. We were just like so excited at the prospect of being able to like see them and meet them. So we tell our boss, we're like, we can't come to work tomorrow because we got invited to this Kardashian thing. And they were kind of like, it's not really like worth it for you to take the day off work just to go like look at them unless you're gonna meet them. So we were like, yeah, we think we're gonna meet them. We get to this event and as it turns out, there was like no other influencers there. It was really just fans. And so we were like how do we get into this? Like, this is crazy. What is this day gonna be? So we sit there, we watch the taping. It was super fun. Ryan Seacrest was hosting it and I was just like nerding out over him because I'm such a fan. It was just like cool to see during commercial breaks, like all of them sitting there and joking with each other and like all their glam teams would come out. So then the shoot ends and they're like, oh, we're gonna give you guys some lunch. We're gonna see how it goes. Like maybe you're gonna get to meet one of the girls or we'll just see if people are available. So then I started noticing, I was like, oh, I think like Kylie Jenner left because at the time she was also taping her reality show for E! And I started telling Lily, I was like, maybe we should just go. We were gonna hit so much traffic going home. It doesn't feel like we're gonna meet anybody. And then they were like, okay, we think maybe we're gonna move all you guys, like the fans and us, to some other area. So they take us to this like super weird storage office room and we're all just waiting in there. There's probably 15 of us and we're just hanging out. I think I was sitting on a desk when the freaking door opens. Everyone in the room became totally silent. In walks Kendall, Chloe, Courtney, and Kim. And we were like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? So people just start like freaking out. Everybody's just like taking selfies, trying to say hello to people, whatever. Lily and I were like, we don't even know what to do, where to go. It was like definitely the most awkward we have ever been. First off, they're so kind. They didn't have to come in and hang out with us or meet us whatsoever. It was already an amazing experience. So the fact that they like stuck around to say hello to all of these fans that have been like supporting them for all of these years, they just like went to a whole other level in my book. But Lily and I were like, what are we supposed to do? So we see Kendall and we're just like, Kendall! Like acting crazy. We're like, can we take a selfie? In the picture, she kind of looks scared and I would have been scared of us too. I think we were just trying to be like friendly, but like it was aggressive friendliness. And I was like, we have to figure it out. Like we have to come up with a game plan of what we're gonna do when we meet Kim Kardashian so that we don't ruin this whole thing. So we came up with a game plan. We see Kim, who BTW, you guys, Lily and I look like giants next to. She is just like so petite, so pristinely beautiful. She has like a warm energy about her too and like a soft spoken kindness. Like she's not a person that's like, hey, what's up? She's just like, hi. Like there's a halo over top of her head. And let me tell you guys, after interviewing celebrities for so many years, that is absolutely not always the case. So Lily and I come up with this whole plan where we're like, hey Kim, we love you guys so much. Actually last year, us and all of our coworkers dressed up as you guys for Halloween. And then Kim's like, oh yeah, I remember that. She's like, I'm actually the one who looks through all the photos that I put on my app. At the time, she had her very own app. She's like, I loved that so much. Listen, guys, I don't know if that's true or not, and I don't really care because I'm choosing to believe it's true because first off, why would she lie? And secondly, it was just a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, she is so sweet. She says she knows who we are, and I'm gonna believe it. But that was the moment that I actually fell in love with the whole Kardashian family because they had just been shooting for like 10 hours, and then they decided to take like an additional hour or 30 minutes to come into a room and hang out with all of us. When you know what? They hadn't promised that to us. They didn't have to do that, but they did. A lot of people at their level just honestly don't have the energy, but they were able to muster it up. The other fun thing I would like to add is that Kim specifically stayed in that room the longest, talked to the most people. I think that people like them are famous not only because of their charisma and their talent and their business savvy and the products they have to offer, but also because they are good people. And the Kardashians are good people. And I can say that from personal experience. Okay, next story. And this is definitely one that could stand on its own. This could be like a whole video in and of itself. And this is definitely like my worst celebrity experience. Absolutely has nothing to do with the celebrity himself and 100% to do with what happened on this day. So I had been planning this shoot with this actor named Spencer Boldman, who was one of the stars on Jessie, which was Debbie Ryan's show. By the way, Debbie Ryan, one of the best human beings on the planet. I have to throw that out there. So we had been setting up this shoot where we were gonna make brownies at this brownie shop in Beverly Hills for a video, kind of like something fun for the holidays and a cool interview opportunity that we could have with this Disney Channel star. And I was the one who had been setting everything up because I know a lot of people think like 85,000 people were working on shoots at Clevver, but I was the one who booked all the talent, set up the whole production crew, talked to the brownie store, did the whole thing. So I had been putting a lot of time and effort into setting up the shoot for probably at least a month. So it's the big day of the shoot. Dana's there, I'm there, Lisa's there, Lily's there. We start setting everything up. Spencer is going to arrive, by the way. He's an amazing soul. What's he doing now, by the way? He was so handsome. I hope he's still acting. And he was very talented. Anywho, we're setting up the whole shoot when suddenly I start feeling just like kind of weird. And I'm generally a very healthy person, so I sometimes get really confused when I get sick, like, oh, this will pass, this isn't a thing. But I started feeling really weird. So I go to the bathroom. Sure enough, I throw up. I was like, okay, it's fine. Let me clean myself up. I'm feeling weird, but I'm gonna be all right. It's no big deal. Plus, I'm like, Spencer's gonna be here in like 20 minutes. It's all good. I can get it together. So I come back out and I'm like rallying. I'm feeling okay. Spencer gets there. I say hello to him and we're about to roll cameras. And I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna throw up again. So I was like, oh, I gotta go to the restroom. Excuse me, I'll be right back. Like really weird though. So I run to the bathroom and I throw up again. And while I'm in there, I get a knock on the door and it's Lily. At the time, Lily was like just hired. She was 22. She was not on camera. I opened the door and she's like, what the hell are you doing? Are you okay? She's like, what's going on? And I had like makeup all over my face. She's like, you look like you're like doing drugs or something. Obviously she was kidding. But I was like, I can't stop throwing up. I don't know what to do. And it's like too late because the shoot's already started and I've set everything up and I feel like I just have to like keep on going. And she's like, what do you mean you just threw up? I'm like, I've thrown up like at this point, I think I had thrown up like 2 or 3 times in the course of like 45 minutes. So I go back out and she's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I have to like continue this shoot. I can't just stop. Too much work, time, and money has gone into this and we have a celebrity sitting out there. So we go back out, we do the interview and I was just like, oh my gosh. And then we start making the brownies, okay? And here's where things really tailspin. So the woman who owned this brownie spot was like letting us mix the brownies and whatever. And I'll never forget for the rest of my life when she was like, oh, take a bite. Or someone was like, take a little nibble.
Take a bite. Take a little nibble.
And there's actually footage of me like just like touching my tongue to the spoon because sure enough, we had to like reset the cameras and I was like, oh, I'll be right back. Yeah, I went and threw up again for sure. Anyways, long story short about the whole like barf gate, vomit gate, whatever you want to call it at that brownie store. First off, every single time I pass that place, I have like a reaction. But secondly, I will say without a doubt, the fact that I made it through that shoot without anyone except Lily even noticing that I was throwing up like every 5 minutes is truly one of my top career achievements. moments. When you watch the video, unless you already know what's going on, you absolutely cannot tell. I actually wonder if I ever even told Spencer Boldman about that, because I know we talked to him in the future, but that's also really disgusting to know that the person that you're like this close to has just thrown up multiple times while you're making food together. Gross. I could go on and on with these stories forever. Again, if you guys want this to be a series where I share more of these stories, just let me know. Hit the comment section, subscribe. I don't know, maybe I'll do another one of these. But let's go back to like 2010, maybe even earlier, 2011, and Victoria Justice had a show on Nickelodeon called Victorious, and she was the star of the show, and there was all these other people who were also on the show, but it was like definitely her show, and she was the star of it, and everyone else was amazing and awesome, but it was called Victorious. She was gonna celebrate her 18th birthday, and she invited me and Dana to come, and they were also like, oh, if you want to do some interviews in the basement of her birthday party, you can. And we were like, what the hell, we would love to talk to Victoria. So since a bunch of the rest of the cast was there, we were like, oh yeah, we would love to talk to them too. Now, right before this, literally just a few weeks before this, I had been on YouTube and I saw that one of the girls on the show who played Kat Valentine, this girl who I kept calling Ariana, obviously her name is Ariana, I was watching some YouTube videos and I saw that she uploaded a video of her covering some songs. And I was like, oh wow, I know that they sing on the show, but let's see if she can really sing. So I watched this video and I was like, holy crap, she might have one of the best voices I've ever heard in my life. So fast forward, we're in this basement at Victoria Justice's birthday party and they're like, oh, do you want to talk to some of the cast? And I see this girl and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really want to talk to her because I think she should become a singer. Ariana sits down between me and Dana, and immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, I love watching you. And she's like, oh, I watch you too. We're so excited to meet you. I've never met you before.
We've actually never met, but I've seen your show.
Likewise.
We've seen
yours.
I
know. Again, you guys, mind blown. Especially now with like who Ariana Grande has become. Such a sweet girl immediately. So I'm like, I was watching this video and I think you're such a great singer and you should really do the music thing and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm sure she already had a whole game plan, a whole aspiration of having a music career. In fact, I'm sure that she did. Her brother, Frankie Grande, and I have a ton of mutual friends and they're from the Broadway world. And so she definitely had a great family leading her. So we end up kind of sparking up this friendship with her and her amazing mom, Joan, who was always with her and still is always with her. And they all lived in Los Angeles. And so they knew that we were a fan of hers and like genuinely just like enjoyed their company and they were really kind people. So one day they were like, hey, why don't you and Dana just like come over to our house for lunch? And we were like, okay, like, I mean, we interviewed a lot of people and everybody was always really nice, but when you're like the reporter, people don't really think about you that much. And I don't mean that to be like, oh, feel sorry for me, please. It's kind of in some ways like a thankless job. It's not even an upsetting thing. It's just kind of the way it is. But for someone to be like, hey, we want to do something nice for you and have you over to our home for lunch, I was like, what? That's so kind. So we were like, yeah, sure. Thanks for inviting us. Like, we'd love to come over for lunch. So me and Dana, we leave the office, we hop in the car, we drive over to their family home, beautiful house here in Los Angeles. We go inside and we sit down at their dining table and like her mom is there and she's there and everybody's super casual, just like hanging out. There was like the most amazing spread on the table. I do recall that there was like so much good food, which like, you know, I love to eat. So I was very excited about. We just had like a really awesome lunch and just like hung out and had like normal conversation. It wasn't like this whole thing of like, here we are eating lunch. It was just like a really nice, great, normal, awesome lunch. And afterwards, Ariana was like, hey, like, I have some music. I've been making my own music. Do you guys want to listen to it? Let's go in the living room. And so we're like, okay, cool. So like all of us just go and sit down in the living room and she puts on some of her new original music, which spoiler alert ended up like coming out and killing it like 6 months later. And we were like just literally giving her opinions. I loved every song because you guys know I'm a huge fan of hers and she was just as talented then as she is now. I just love sharing those kind of stories because, you know, you don't get to hear that kind of stuff. That they're just a great, lovely family. Another great thing I have to say about Ariana Grande, and now that I think of it, Debbie Ryan too. After we interviewed both of those girls, and again, I think it's because they have just such wonderful support systems and families, I remember both of them sending us like baked goods in the mail just to be like, thanks for the interview, thanks for doing that. And I was like, blown away because that happened so seldomly, especially back then when no one took YouTube seriously. And I choose to believe that the reason why so many of the people that I've talked about in this video are successful is because it's talent meets hard work meets freaking good people. That's not always the case. Some people are not as friendly and warm, and that's okay too. You know, it's not necessarily their job to be. Ariana Grande and her family had us over for lunch once, and it was just a very kind gesture. So Ariana, if you're watching this, thanks again for the lunch. If you guys ever want to pop over to my condo, the door is open. I have so many other stories, so many other crazy things to share. So if you like this format, let me know, because I'm locked inside my house just hanging out with a list that's like 50 pages long on my computer. And I'm exhausted and quite frankly a little bit sweaty, so I think it's time for me to end this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, be sure to subscribe, and if you want to watch any of the interviews that I referenced, I'm gonna link to everything in the info section below. I love you guys. This video is over.